Rob Stein from the Washington Post has written an article about a study that has to do with abstinence-only education and how it might be a very effective form of sex education. Right? Now, in the past, there have been no studies that indicate this, right? So conservatives are looking at this study and saying, yes, we got them, right? Abstinence-only education is effective, and we have a study that proves it. Except this study doesn't prove shit.
Oh, damn.
Okay? Now, let me tell you what the findings of the study were, okay? It says that only about a third of 6th and 7th graders who completed an abstinence-focused program started having sex within the next 2 years. Nearly half of the students who attended other classes, including ones that combined information about abstinence and contraception, became sexually active. Okay, so basically, those who took the abstinence-focused courses were less likely to engage in sex in the next 2 years, and those who took comprehensive sex education were more likely to engage in sex in the next 2 years. Now, the reason why this study doesn't prove anything is because the abstinence-focused education or curriculum wasn't really abstinence only. And what I mean by that is it was a very moderate form of sex education. First of all, what it did is it didn't give any moral standard, moral standards when it came to having sex. Basically, the abstinence-focused curriculum said, you know, you don't have to wait till marriage to have sex. Just wait for the time that's right for you, right? Which is super moderate. That's not abstinence only. Come on. And also, the abstinence-only curriculum did not disparage condom use.
Right. So it wasn't, first of all, let's get this clear. It wasn't abstinence only. I don't know why they keep calling it that. It was abstinence focused.
Right.
It talked about condoms. So if you're going to do safe sex discussion and then tell kids not to have sex until they're ready, yeah, I'm in. I think that's exactly right.
And that's pretty much...
So am I surprised that that worked? I don't question the numbers. I think the numbers are right. I think it's a legitimate study, right? Now, you can argue about some of the specifics, but overall, I think, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But when you listen to what was in the program, there was no moralizing, as Anna said. There was no. It didn't say wait till you're married. It said wait till you're ready, right? And it gave kids a little bit of maturity about how to handle sex, which is what I would do as a parent.
Right.
So if they came to me with an abstinence-only program for my kids in my school, and they lectured them about how you know it's dirty sex and condoms never work and you should wait till you're married, I'd say get out of here. That's nuts. I would never agree to that, right? But if they come and say, hey, you know, condoms work and you should only have sex when you're ready, I'm like, yeah, all right, where do I sign?
Right.
As a parent, that's what I would want. That makes sense.
And basically, this abstinence-focused education, the way they're labeling it, it's comprehensive sex ed, right? To a lesser extent, but it is. It's comprehensive sex ed. Don't have sex until you're ready for it, and when you do decide to have sex, make sure you protect yourself with condoms. That's comprehensive sex education.
I have another word for it, which is, of course! It's of course sex education. So, Tom, regulate for us. Did you have problems with the numbers, or do you have a different issue with it?
No, I had a couple of issues. One of which you touched on, which I'll get to and expand on a little bit. But the first one was I had an issue with the age of the kids that they used in the study, because they used 6th and 7th graders. And on average, that means that the kids are 11 to 13 years old. Now, the thing to keep into account is they followed them, or they got back with them after 2 years. So you're talking about kids that are 13 to 14 or 15 years old, basically, like getting back to them and saying, okay, have you had sex? Did you use contraception? That sort of thing. Now, the thing is, if you look at a variety of sources, you'll see that in the U.S., the average age that someone loses their virginity is 16 years old. Okay? Right. So that would be
for boys. I think for girls, it's 17 years old, and that's today. Back in the day, it used to be 19, right? But for younger people, it's now 16 and 17. So most kids haven't even lost their virginity by the time this study gets back to them.
Right. So an analogy that I would think of for this study, it would be like doing a study on how good a retirement plan works and following up with people when they turn 64, when the vast majority of people retire when they're 65. You know, a certain percentage of people, yeah, before before
Right.
65.
But let me do a counterpoint on that, Tom. That's a very good point, very important point. And then we know that other studies show that eventually everybody has sex before they get married, right? Or almost everybody, right? So now, no matter what pledge or what program that they went through. Now, having said that, if this program, Tom, delays kids from having sex for a little while, and they have sex at 15 rather than 13, or 17 rather than 15, I think as a parent, I'm pretty happy with that. I call that a success. You see what I'm saying by that? I don't expect them to not have sex until they're 28. I'm hoping they can make it to 18.
Right. Well, I think the problem, and it's a well-made point. I think the issue with this is what a lot of people on the religious right and people who have an agenda that's tied to, religion or moral teachings are trying to make out of the study. Because if you look at the blogs today, if you look on the internet, they're going crazy. They're doing touchdown end zone dances, dancing in the streets. They're over the top about it. They're saying, oh, this is such a huge blow to so-called comprehensive sex education and all of this stuff. But
now that's a great point. Let me just jump in with it to buttress that, because one, they're going to absolutely twist this right away. They're going to call it abstinence only. They're going to say, you see that, Jesus saves, whatever, and they're going to go back to wasting a lot of money on garbage programs.
Right.
That's why we're a little scared. I don't mind the study itself. I'm scared about how it's going to get twisted, right? Because facts are facts, but unfortunately, not for the right wing. And my problem is the mainstream media is already helping them.
Right.
By Washington Post, right in the title, abstinence-only programs might work, study says. That's not what the study said.
That's true. Look, and the reason why this is a problem is because the Obama administration has decided to cut out all funding for abstinence-only education. Okay, Obama has finally done something right, and he said, I am not going to fund any type of sex ed curriculum unless there are studies proving that the curriculum is effective, right? Now, conservatives can come to Obama and they can come to the administration and say, look at this study. Abstinence-focused education works, but they'll twist it. They'll twist it in a way that sounds like abstinence-only education works. And then our money, our tax dollars, are going to go toward these ineffective programs.
Now, having said that, their initial reaction of the Department of Education was, well, if this study worked, then we would be interested in doing this we might do funding behind this, which is reasonable. And if you call that a compromise, hey, between complete comprehensive sex education and abstinence only, and the compromise is abstinent focused, and you have a study showing it works, well, that's the kind of compromise I could live with. That makes sense to me, as long as they don't go to that extra step that the conservatives want them to.